Hello, Big
Okay.
Light family. Welcome to our pod. We have a treat for you guys today. We are just shining light and making sure that people see the light, especially in these run streets, because it's hard, it's challenging, and we need as many people as possible to shine the light before us. And so today we have somebody. I'm super excited. She's coming from the UK. Like
Yep.
she is an ultra runner. She is right now competing to do something nobody's ever done before. And I'm going to let her give her background story about that. But welcome to the platform.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I always love to, like you were saying, like try to motivate people or like people that are finding a struggle at the beginning because I've been there. Like I went through that time. And obviously now I'm not saying I'm in the other side, but I think I can see it now with a different perspective, obviously. And I do know the struggle that is. It's such a struggle at the beginning. And even starting, anyone that's starting, like you guys rock. Like even now that I look back to myself, like 8 years ago, I was like, you were so brave. Like that is so brave to just
That's
take the first step or just go for the first run, which is not going to be a run probably. It's going to be more like a crawl, but
true.
getting out there and doing something challenging in that
Yes.
moment for you. I
Yes.
think that's what has been driving me all these years, the
Uh,
challenge of it. So obviously maybe at the beginning the challenge was 1K, 2K, or
yeah.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. And then obviously with the time that kind of went to the dark side. But
Take us back. Take us all the way back to when you first started running and why did you get into this lovely sport?
I don't know if it's a lovely sport. I think I still have that love hate relationship with it after all these years. It's funny because I still don't consider myself a runner. Serious. I think I'm more like I said, more like an adventure seeker or
Yeah.
like a challenging seeker. That's more what drives me. But it started all 8 years ago.
Mm.
Like I mentioned, I didn't run anything, but I was moving back home from living in Chicago for a little bit. And I went back home. I didn't know anyone, so I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna run. It was a group of runners running around, the block of my street. I
Mhm.
tried to join. The first time was horrible. Oh my god, I couldn't even. So that was awful. But it's good to know. It's great to meet people, and
Yeah.
more so if you're moving or like I said. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm from Mexico, right? So I've been living abroad a couple of times, so I feel like also running is like an easy way to kind
Yeah.
of connect with new
Yeah.
people, kind of like get out there and
Yeah.
meet people, and also places because you go places, I guess, when you're running,
Yes.
and then you kind of like know your surroundings a little bit.
Well, hold
So.
on. Your accent is so beautiful because I
Oh.
hear the Mexican accent and then I hear UK. It's beautiful.
It's a whole mix. At this point, we don't know where I'm coming from anymore. But yeah, so I'm originally born and raised in Mexico. Studied in Chicago for a little bit, and then I went back home. And in that time, I also met my husband that is Scottish. So that's where I am here. But yeah, so that's a long story
That's
short.
the other I hear. Yeah, okay.
So I met this group of runners, and at that time in Mexico, the Spartan races were getting like really hot out there. I don't know if you know the race. Obviously, it's like the obstacle racing. Like you
Yes.
run a little bit, and then you do a little bit of an obstacle. So I thought, oh, maybe I could do that. Like you don't need to run the whole time.
I mean,
So
just out of the blue, you were like, "Let me take this challenge."
yeah,
Were
maybe
you
I could do that.
athletic? Like, were
I
you
thought
was athletic?
I was okay. I just wanted to have fun, and they look quite fun. Like back in that time, the Spartan, like the marketing was just like come and have fun with your friends, and
Yeah.
all what you can see from the media, it was all about like, yeah, like get muddy and jump around, and it
Okay.
was nothing like too serious. So I
Okay.
thought, oh, that would be super fun. So I actually did that one. I did like a 15K one, but like I said, I could run a little bit. Like I was like, okay, I can run a little bit and then climb or rest in the obstacle, whatever. And
Okay.
then it was not like I did all the monkey bars and
Yeah,
anything. It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like, I was just having fun. But in that race, I really loved like the running bits because the running bits were in trail,
Mhm.
something that I've never done before.
Okay.
So that's when I discovered, or I started like looking into, is that a thing? Like just running in the trail, like
Mm,
not the tarmac.
yeah.
So that's when like a different world opened to me. Like, oh, there's a thing of just running in the trails.
Uh-huh.
And I loved it so much after that race. Like the bits, like the bit from running from obstacle to obstacle, that was just like I said, trails and muddy bits. And I just thought, this is beautiful. Plus the place was really nice. I just thought, I love this. I could do this. Not the running in the street. I
Yeah.
always thought that was like a killer for me. So I thought maybe these I could do this. Like I do enjoy this. So prepare for this. I was like, I'm gonna sign up for a 50K.
Okay, wait, Tanya. Okay.
Yeah. I just
So
I just said, let's go big or let's go home.
had you run like, were you on the track team at school? Were you, cuz my background is I was in theater, I did shows, and then when I became adult, I was like, "Oh, you know what? Let's go out and run." And like you said, I was huffing and puffing for the first 60 seconds. It was hard. So for you to
Horrible.
say, "Oh, let's do a 50K." What? I didn't even know what a 50K was.
I I don't know. I just it did a Facebook, like back then was not that big Facebook, but I don't know
Mhm.
how it looked at a thing, a trail thing, and it was only 50K.
Mm.
So I thought, you know, I've run a marathon before. Well, not run, walked,
Okay.
scroll, die in
Okay.
in a Chicago marathon, but
Ah,
like years before, and I
okay.
got so terrified of it that
Mm.
I stopped running for like 3 or 4 days. I
Mm.
mean years. I did it when I was living in Chicago,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is not for me.
Why was it
Like,
scary for you? Why was
it
it
was
so terrifying?
so painful. And
Mm.
so I didn't like that feeling of being out of breath, and I couldn't walk for the next 2 weeks. And I did not feel that like runner's high
Yeah,
at all. Like it was
yeah.
just traumatic. I was like, this is not fun. Like, no. And I stopped running for, like I said, 2 or 3 years. Like this is
Wow.
like, okay, I did it, finished it like in 7 hours, walked it all, and I was like, I'm not doing this, which is, no. So I left it. I let it go. Finished school in Chicago, like I said, all that. Went back home, and then that's when I started doing the. So when I signed up for the 50K, I thought, well, I did a 42. I did the marathon.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I did finish it. How hard can it be? A tiny bit more. so,
But it's
na-
trails.
so
Yeah.
naive. So stupid.
I listen, every person who I've talked to who runs ultras, that you guys are not normal. And that's cool. I love that. You don't think like normal people think. You're like, "Oh, it's like just an extra little bit, past the 26 miles."
So if you're struggling to even run in the streets a little bit, just go out, sign up for a trail, even like something like really, and that's something I still apply until today. Like do something that really scares you, like something that
Mhm.
you know that you're not gonna finish. Like that's where I put always my money in. Like what that's the races I sign up
Yeah.
to. I only sign up for a race that I don't know if I'm gonna finish. Because if I know I'm gonna finish it, for me, it's not. It takes the fun out of it. Like
I love
you know,
that. I think that's worth repeating. Sign up for races that you don't know that you're gonna
yeah.
finish. And
At
I
the
think
beginning. So if you sign up for a race at the
yeah,
beginning and you don't know if you're gonna finish, obviously you know you're gonna train and like
yeah.
turn into the person that
Mm,
maybe finish it.
that. That.
So you're gonna work to be the person that is going to be
Yeah.
able to finish
I
the
like
race.
that. Instead of say I wanna follow my friends, I'm gonna sign up for London, I'm gonna do the marathon. I know I can do it because 'cause I've done another marathon. That's not really much of a challenge. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's for me, it takes the fun out of it because I was like, I know I will finish it. Even now, 50Ks, 50 milers, I know I'm like, oh, I know I'm gonna finish it. Like it's
Yeah.
not fun. It is a bit dangerous and it's a tricky place to go because then every year, every time,
It goes up.
that is now where the point that
Yeah.
every time you turn around, you're like, oh my god, like why
Longer
am I
or
doing this?
faster? With trail running, what do you do?
Longer,
Longer.
longer. Yeah, I'm not a fast. I'm a slow runner.
Well, okay, so let's
That's
talk
why I'm
about
in that group because I am
well, let's
super
talk about
slow.
it because running pavement and running trails, I've talked to several ultras
Yeah,
and they go, pace does not matter,
it doesn't
forward is
matter.
the pace. And so when you talk about slow, what does that look like when you're running an ultra?
So slow is just walking. We walk a lot, or I walk a lot. I am middle back to the backpack
Mhm.
of any race, really. But to be honest, in ultra, sometimes there's so few people that I end up being the third out of three because there's no more.
Now, do
Well,
you have to have a
here in
time?
the UK,
Do you have to finish within a certain time?
you
Okay.
do have finish. Some races are quite nice with the cutoffs, like they have really long cutoffs,
Okay.
and there are some races that like, oh, I'm never gonna make that. Like
Okay.
I'm
So
not
I'm
that.
not signing
So
up for
inside of all that, you do have to know your capabilities, like
okay.
absolutely. Like I wouldn't sign. I know I'm not gonna finish that one because the cutoffs are absolutely impossible.
Have
Like
you ever
that's
done like a crazy one like Leadville or
no, no. I've done 100 miler, but here
okay.
uh, this year actually that
Wow.
was my was it the wee challenge I had for 4 years. I've been like seeking that distance for 4 years now,
Wow.
and every time I tried it, I DNF. That's the other thing. But that was like I said, that was even fun for me. I was like, oh, I paid for something and I came, fought, and I got what I wanted.
And
A
DNF
challenge.
means did not finish for those
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah. DNF did not finish, but for me is, and like I said, even if you want to sign up for whatever race, like I was saying, just anything, just sign up for something that really scares you,
mm,
and you're like, I don't think I can finish it. That's a race you need to do because then you're gonna work towards being the person that can do it. And even if at the end you don't complete it or you DNF,
yeah.
you walked so much, you did so much work to get close. You're going to end up closer than before
Yeah.
anyway.
What's
So
the
you can try
closest
again.
what's the closest you've gotten and you didn't finish?
Oh, the three times you're going to laugh, it was always 120K. I don't know miles. I don't do miles here. I think it's 70 miles.
Uh-huh. Just about. Sounds about right.
Yeah, 70 miles, 2, 3 times. Always was at that time, at that moment where my body was just too broken down.
Uh,
Later on now, I think it was more mental. It was more mind, something was
yeah.
not clicking there in my head. But like I said, because I kept trying, and every time I get closer and closer, maybe not in distance, but mentally, I was
Yes.
just getting a little bit more resilient and more resilient until this year I was able to nail it. I know. I was like, I'm not going to break. I know I've come 3 times to this point, and I said I'm not going to break this time because I've broken 3 times. So so even though it doesn't need to be 100 miler. It could be whatever distance whatever distance the challenge for you.
Yeah.
Uh, just sign up for that. Try to be the person that turns to complete it. And even if you don't complete it, you will be closer to that goal. And then just what, there's another race, there's another day to do it, and then just keep hammering that until you get it. Because you will definitely get it. Consistency and just perseverance
Mhm.
wins the race.
I love that. Let's talk about that 100 miler that you just did. What were some highlights and what were some low moments? Did you have any hallucinations? One of my friends said that she right around 70 miles, she starts hallucinating.
I think 70 miles is just such a crusher. Like,
Yeah.
I think is that when things sort of start getting real. Like I said, that's where a lot of people DNF that were
Yeah.
did not complete that. I think that is the point where, or you keep going and you will finish it, or
Yes.
is the point that you just give up, or that's it. It's a so much of a turning point of 100 miler, definitely.
Mm.
And it was fun. So I tried my third attempt early this year, and I did not complete it. It
Mm.
was my worst attempt, 40K, and it
Wow.
was heat exhaustion.
Oh,
So it was really hot day in the UK, which I thought it would never happen. So I wasn't really that ready for that hit.
what
So it
month
took me down super fast.
what month do they do the race?
It was, I think, in April, and it was so hot and so humid. Like I said, I thought I seen that it was going to be hot, but I'm from Mexico, so I thought, oh, I
Mhm.
can take a little bit of heat.
Yeah,
Actually, I like the heat. Like it's
yeah.
absolutely fine.
That's
And 40 kilometers, and it was just a humidity, and I think I underestimated
mm,
how crushing the UK weather can be as well.
yeah.
Like I never thought it could get, because I live in Scotland and this race was really down south, like all the border down south. So they
Mhm.
have even a different climate. So I just got hit with it really fast and just died really, really quick.
Wow.
So it was my worst attempt. And I was like so ready. I swear I even trained a year and a half for that one.
Mm,
So it was like so crushing
mm.
to get there. And actually, that one was my worst attempt, like,
Do you when you know you're not gonna finish and you're on the trail, do you have, like, a signal? How do people know? Or do you walk back? Like, how do you say, "I'm not gonna be able to finish this. Somebody come get me," or you do you walk back? I mean
you have to get to the next checkpoint.
okay.
And that's what I did. I got to the next checkpoint, and that's when I realized one, that I was feeling very, very, very bad. Like my head was just spinning. I was about to faint. Like I was feeling so weak. It's just heat exhaustion.
Mm,
And I said I'm gonna need at least 30 minutes to just recover. I need to shade, water, eat a little bit more. I did a lot of mistakes. I didn't eat much probably because I was battling the heat, and
huh,
then I didn't put any electrolytes in my water because I didn't think it was going to be that hot. So
yeah.
I really messed up really bad. And so when I got there, I said I would need probably half an hour to recover, get everything back in, and see if I could go back out there. And by that time, the cutoff would have taken me. So I thought
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. So, but yeah, usually in a race, you will have to get to the next checkpoint. If
Okay.
it's an emergency, if you injure yourself and you
Mhm.
cannot move or anything, usually some races have a tracker, which is the one like a block that you carry with you. They
Mhm.
tape it usually in your backpack, and it usually has a button, a panic button or SOS button, and then you will click that, and then that would obviously send the signal. Because when you're in the trails, usually your phone doesn't work.
Yeah.
You're out in the
Signal.
wild, so there's no signal. So they usually have that panic button or the SOS. So yes,
Mm.
that's only, and they ask you to just press it if it's
Only.
really an emergency,
Yeah.
like you cannot
Makes
move.
sense.
But in a trail race, you would need to know that when you leave a checkpoint, which is
Mhm.
where you arrive, you need to know the next checkpoint is in 15 or 20 kilometers, and you need to know that you're going to be capable to at least make it to the next one.
Mm.
So it's just also that's a bit scary sometimes when you're not feeling great,
Yeah.
or you don't know if you're actually, which actually that happened in the 100 miler at a point. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And the next checkpoint was going to be like 20,
Oh.
25 kilometers in the night, because that was all the
Oh.
night section. And I was like, and the guys, the organizers, they said, if you're gonna pull, it's right now, because it's all the night and it's really difficult to get you
Yeah.
if you want to, if you can't complete it, or you decide not to finish, it's going to be really difficult
To get you.
to get you back from in this long stretch.
Wow.
So those are little things that you have to, you
Consider.
know,
Yeah.
trust yourself, that you're like, okay, I think I'll be fine.
I think I would be so afraid of, like, the nighttime and being
Oh,
out there by
yeah,
myself.
I'm there with you. Absolutely. Like I put my earphones and I put a podcast usually, like no
Yeah.
music. I like just like something relaxing,
Yeah.
because I'm already like feeling super stressed that it's dark. I don't know what's behind the bushes, like,
Yes.
and you're out there alone, 2 a.m. in the morning. Like it's just, yeah,
Wow.
it's just this eerie atmosphere, and all you can see is like just you live in this like light bubble,
Yeah.
for so long, because you can't see more than what your
Yeah.
headlamp really uh, lights up. So you see a couple of steps in front, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, it's quite scary. So I
Wow.
just put my earphones, a good podcast, and I just like think like I'm
Step by
starting
step.
imagining my podcast or a book or something.
So how did you manage to finish finally after 3 times, and then the 4th time you accomplished it?
So like I said, I think because I had these three, I'm not going to count the one that I passed out for heat exhaustion because that one was clearly heat
Yeah.
exhaustion. For the past three, I when I DNF and I went back home, I was like fine in 30 minutes after.
Mm,
Like I was not injured, I was not sore, I
yeah,
was, so that's when I realized it's something mentally is not letting me. It's not. It's I don't know if it was scared
yeah,
or the pain also is excruciating pain
mm,
in your feet and everything pretty much so painful. So this time I was like, I know what it feels like, obviously, and I'm ready to feel the pain. Like I almost was ready, you're just ready for the punch when it's going to get you.
yeah,
And I think the first couple of times, you get punched and you're scared and you're like, oh my God, I'm bleeding, this is painful, and then you just run away. That's
yeah,
your first reaction.
yeah,
And this time is like, I'm almost ready. I'm in a good position to
mhm,
being hit and not fall
yeah,
down. I'm like absolutely
I'll take
ready for the punch this time. So this time I was ready. I got to the distance where, I knew I was going to be, struggling, which is 170 miles usually. And I thought, oh, the guys from the checkpoint, it's the organizers have to do so much with it. Like you have to choose a good race because it's incredible. I don't know if you've done races, and the volunteers can make such a
it.
difference. So
Yes.
I get to the checkpoint. I think it was like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. Really, one of those eerie ones that I'm looking for a house in the middle of nowhere, and then these guys are outside, like, "Hi," I'm like, "Oh, hi." I just go in, and the guys are like, "You have 15 minutes to the cutoff." So I
Oh,
was chasing cutoffs all the time too, because
yeah,
as a slow runner, that's what we do. We just chase
yeah,
cutoffs. So I was
yeah.
like, "Oh my God." And they're like, I walked in, which it was like this community center, and they didn't even let me like feel sorry for myself or like, oh, I'm in so much pain, or they didn't ask how are you. They're like, what do you want? You have 15 minutes, and you want coffee, or noodles, and I was like, so like,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah, noodles is fine, and a coffee. They serve me it, and they're like, okay, up you go. You ready? Water? Okay, like I didn't. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Like I was like so I didn't. They didn't ask me like how you feeling. Like
yeah, because
they
that would've
didn't
made
check
it
with
worse.
me.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's what has happened before. It's funny that worked this time. That was like I was like, okay. They put my backpack back up again, and they're like, okay, have fun. And I was like, what?
Wow.
When I didn't realize I was out the door. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess we're doing this.
They are smart because I'm sure they've run this race maybe or seen this, right? They've been crew before, and so now they're like, "At this point, we cannot have her feeling sorry, so, okay, you got this, let's go. Bye."
Yeah, that was great. And then I think I'm going to apply that for my future races and people out there. They struggle with like self pity, like I'm so sorry. But,
You're
like
fine.
I love that. You're fine. You're good. What do you need? Let's go. And then
Wow.
that was such a. I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah.
So I jump to the next checkpoint. But that point, I did got cut off. So well, I needed two more checkpoints to the finish line, and one checkpoint was closing at I can't remember the time, but like an hour, and I realized I was not going to make it at that hour. So I was like so crushed. I was like, well, you know what? It's fine. Like I'm just gonna call an Uber. And I called the organizer and said, hey, I think I'm not gonna make the next checkpoint. And he's like, oh, the last checkpoints don't matter. Like you just need to get to the finish line
Oh!
in 33 hours. So you are within
Yeah.
the full time. Like you can make it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I was like, oh no. Like I almost wanted him to say, yeah, you're
Yeah.
not gonna make it, just go home. And so that was like, okay, game on. Okay,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
So he's like, don't worry, like the checkpoint's still there. like I think after certain checkpoints, they're like, we're gonna let them open and just.
Yeah.
I was the last one anyway, so
Uh-huh.
they were like super nice and flexible. They were like, oh, that's
Wow.
fine. Just you just need to get to the end in 32 hours. It
So
doesn't
how
matter
did it
anymore.
feel when you came across, like,
Oh, it was
100 miles?
beautiful. So the last checkpoint, I made up time in the last checkpoint. So when I get to the last one, the guy is like, "You have 10 minutes. Like you can't, nothing. You can't sit down." I didn't even sit down. I put my water bottles and run because I had 15K to go
Uh-huh.
from that point, and I only had 3 hours left in the
Okay.
time. So
Wow.
that's quite that's
Rushed.
quite yeah, that's quite tight, and more so because I mean, after running 145, yeah, I wasn't moving very fast. If I'm not fast, I was even if I'm slow, I was moving even slower. So I was like 15K in 3 hours. That is tight for me. Like,
Yeah.
and I had a couple of clients to go.
Oh,
So I was like, just the guy's like, you need, and then I remember the volunteer again. He was like, if you want to make it, he was like, you need to run, kind of like you do need to
like,
run.
really run.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't want to run. He was like, you're gonna walk the uphills, but you need to run
Mm.
down because you're running out of time. So they are so lovely. They were so like cheering, and I was like, okay. He's like, you can do this. You just need to run. Like everyone was so nervous. It's like this woman has 3 hours. We don't know if she's gonna make it.
Did you cry when you finished?
Oh, I cried for 3 days straight.
Oh.
I was crying 3 days straight. I even like if I tell the story, I'll probably cry again. Like
Uh,
absolutely.
wow.
And 10K before the finish, and I was like tripping because I was so nervous. Like I don't
Yeah,
want to make it all the way here and
and
then
not
get to the end and be like, oh, you missed it
make
for
it.
2 minutes.
Ugh.
Sorry. I was like, I
Were
would
you
die.
looking
I
at
would
your
kill
watch?
someone.
Were you, like, constantly
I was constantly checking the watch, which in a trail race is not very smart because
Yeah,
you have to be. So I
yeah.
was tripping and I was doing a lot of mistakes.
Ugh,
So I remember I stood up and I said, Tana, you need to stop watching, looking the watch. And it
yeah,
was 10K to go. I remember exactly. So I changed the face of the
yeah,
watch just to be the map, no
yeah.
time. And I said, you're just going to do the best 10Ks of your life.
Wow.
And that's it. Just just do them and let's see.
You did it.
And that's exactly. So when I get around the corner of when I see the finished arch, I was like, okay, so this is the time of the truth to know if I'm within the 32 because I haven't seen the time anymore because
Yeah,
it was just making me too nervous.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is, and then I have a video where you can actually see me. I turn the watch and it was 32:30.
Wow.
So
That's
that's when I was like, that's when I realized, oh no, 31:30 because the cutoff was 32. So
wow.
31:30, and I thought, oh my god, I just did it. This is
Oh my god.
absolutely crazy. Yeah, and
How
that's when
does
I
your
started
medal
crying.
look? Is it a big medal?
It's a buckle. Ah,
Oh, that's beautiful.
I know. I've been like looking at it every day since then.
Oh, wow.
I
That's
know.
beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So that has been the most painful one, and it was fun. Like
What
now thinking back,
what's the
so,
next goal for you?
so the next goal after that, 3 weeks after, I had already signed for a race, and I did Jordan to 220 kilometers through Jordan. This one is a stage race, so this
Wait,
is an
Jordan,
ultra,
like the
a
Middle
desert.
East? Oh,
Yeah, but
wow.
listen, guys, if anyone wants to step on their foot in doing maybe not an ultra, but you're good in like maybe building up,
Yes.
stage races are absolutely a great way to put in your feet into this like longer distances
Okay.
because you do 30 or I think 30 and then the next day it was one day that it was 50 so it was a
Okay.
little bit longer but you do rest and then you're in these beautiful places but it's a great way and then you can walk as well the cutoffs or the timings
Yeah.
between to finish the stage they're quite friendly So
Mm.
there's people that actually walk the whole thing,
Hmm.
and it's really lovely. You enjoy the out, like the scenery. Obviously, you're in this place that is amazing, and yeah. So I did that one 3 weeks after the 100 miler because I wanted to see if the stage races, it's a different setup. I've never done one before, so this was my first one,
Wow.
and I just wanted to see, keep evolving and seeing if I like this. Like one thing that I do every year as well is try something different,
Yeah.
whatever it is. So this year was I'll try the stage races. I've never done one, so I thought why not, and I did that one, and so that kind of like pulled me to so my idea was to do Cocodona 250
Oh,
next year.
wow.
I know. I
Now,
think
where is that?
that's in the US, and that is in um where is it?
Is it west?
I think it's in the desert, Arizona. I think. You
Uh-huh.
know that?
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful trails. I've
And
seen a couple
hot.
of documentaries,
Extremely hot.
but they say that gets really cold at night, which is obvious because the deserts
Yes.
usually they have
Yes.
like this. So I thought, oh, I want to do Cocodona 250. That would be like absolutely a dream because I've
Wow.
seen documentaries and I've, seen
Yes.
people doing it. And I thought it's almost like a stage race, because you could take it as slow or as fast as you want. You do have a limit of
Yeah.
time, but there's usually friendly-ish,
Yeah.
So, but I was like, oh, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. So I had
Mm.
to go back a little bit and
Okay.
say, how can I make myself the person that can finish that race? So I thought I need to work a little bit in my walking because I realized my walking was very slow. So I need in these races you walk a lot, but you
Yeah.
have to do even an efficient walk. Like you have to be a good walker, even. You know.
I love what you
So,
said of how can I make myself the person that can do the thing? Because I think sometimes when we runners, we always think about the end result, the goal, I'm going to run a marathon, but not thinking about how can I become a different person 6 months from now, 9 months from
yeah.
now, a year from now. That's
Because if
so
you have
important.
told me 8 years ago, if you've been talking to Tanya 8 years ago, if you tell her, oh, can you do 100 miles? I would say absolutely not,
Yeah.
because I wasn't that person, and
Yeah.
then I started to work and to become that person. And it's the same when if right now if someone's goal is to do a marathon, for example, and I feel like people are now a little bit more like, oh no, I'm never gonna be able to do that. No,
Mhm.
and then they just throw it away
Yeah.
instead of saying, okay, hold on, I'm gonna,
Do I need
stand, what can I do? Do
Yeah.
a little bit of mind work and then know
Yes.
yourself. Like, what can I do? Like, just walk back from it and say, okay, that's maybe too much. All right, I
Yeah.
understand. I'm
Yeah.
not a superhuman yet, a superwoman yet. So,
Yes.
what can I do? So that's what I started kind of like, what do I need to work in myself
Mm.
to get there.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I need to work. When I made a list, I think I need to work a little bit more walking. I
Yeah.
need to work a little bit more in efforts, and a day after day effort, because this one obviously is around 5 days that
Yeah.
you're going to be out there. I need to get better at that kind of like self sufficient,
How
you
does
know.
one prepare your mind, your body, your spirit
Yeah,
for an ultra? How do you prepare? Because I know, like, say I'm doing a marathon, I may take 20 weeks and I strength train and I do all of the
yes,
physical stuff. Nobody ever talks about this, you know?
yes,
So
yes.
how do you prepare for something like that?
I think at the beginning, what I did is to push myself to do if I needed to go for a run and it was raining, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go to a treadmill because I would go like, no, I'm going to do it outside. Just put yourself in, like if I was coming home from work and I was really tired and I was going to use the lift. I live in the fourth floor, and I was like, no, I'm
Take
going
the
to take
stairs.
the stairs. So those little like
Yeah.
everyday battles. I'm saying at the beginning because at the beginning it's difficult to turn around and find something to hold
Yes.
yourself from. Now when you start gaining those little badges
Yes.
or those little, you get a little bit more rope to hold
Yeah.
yourself to. Like right now it's easier, not easier, but now I can turn around and be like, oh,
Ah,
you done this,
yes.
this, and that. So you start building up your, your rope, and then it gets stronger, and you can
Yes.
pull yourself a little bit faster and stronger from that, and you can hold to it. But I do understand that you said at the beginning that I was like, I don't have anything to hold on to. And another thing I did to work on my mind, I thought, I am really a quite perseverant guy, like you say. Like, I do my workouts, I have no problem, like mental struggle with that. I'm
Yeah.
quite responsible, and I do all my workouts how my coach tells me to. I don't have a struggle, but what I struggle is with food.
Yeah.
I'm a big eater. So I thought, not because I wanted to lose weight,
Mhm.
not because I wanted to get in shape. I thought that's something that is going to challenge me
Yes.
mentally. So I did like a 3 month. I told my nutritionist, I said, I want a good diet, because I want to just challenge my brain. Just give me a good balance. Like, I don't want to
Yes.
lose weight. I don't want to die.
Yes.
I just want to stick to a program. And that's what I did. So I
Mm.
remember I did that December, November, and October. So I passed all Halloween, all
Mm.
Christmas,
No
and
sweets.
no, no. I was walking with my Tupperwares everywhere. I arrived to my in-laws' Christmas dinner with my Tupperware, carrying a bag of carrots,
Wow.
looking absolutely insane, and no drinking, obviously.
Yeah.
But those 3 months, it was just a challenge. That's what I did. It just for
Yes.
the mental of like
Yeah.
say no to myself, just
Yes.
for that training of saying no. Like,
Yes.
learn to say no, and you're stronger mentally, because it has nothing to do physically. I could
Yeah.
grab a cookie anytime. It was just more mentally
Yeah.
challenging for me to
Can
see
you do
everyone
it?
eating, and I
Yes.
was just driving me crazy. But
Yeah.
I gained so much mental strength from that challenge. So grab something that challenged you, that is really difficult for you to leave or to not do or do, and then just be like full on. I'm going to put myself 3 months, 1 month, whatever it is,
I
of
love that.
broken or whatever that is, that puts you out of your comfort zone.
I
And
need that.
after that,
I
absolutely
need
changed my life. Absolutely changed. Even, I mean, like I said, I didn't do it for the
yes.
losing weight or anything. It
A lot of
was
people
a byproduct,
yeah.
obviously.
A lot of people like I weigh, I don't know, 138. I'm not trying to lose weight. I don't run to lose weight. And I don't judge anybody who does, but my problem is eating as well because I like sweet stuff and I know it's not good for me and I know it's not the most efficient things to eat if I'm training for a race, you know?
Yeah.
And I've had friends come with their Tupperware. I'm like, whoa, that is discipline. I don't have it. So that is one of the things. If you're going to go through a training plan, don't just work on your physical
But
strength.
also
Work,
your mental strength. And
yes,
how can you do that? Well, do something that's really difficult for you. So, like I said, if food is your down, that's your
yes,
Achilles, then that's where you're going to get tough at, and that's what's going to really challenge you. Like I said, and after the challenge, obviously, I got a byproduct of like, yeah, I was feeling better. I lost a bunch of weight. Like I said, it was never,
yeah,
I was not even fast. But even I never drank again after that. I was not a big drinker, but I would have
yeah,
my drinks. I do not feel like drinking after that.
yeah. You're
Not
more
feel like
aware of
having.
what
I feel
alcohol
more.
does. Yeah, dries
I
you
feel
out.
like
Yeah.
I was not feeling like when I started the plan of the challenge. I was like, oh, the first weeks were so horrible. I was sleeping, crying in my bed. I was like, I can't do this. I was crying.
Mm,
It was really difficult, like mentally. But
yeah,
that's what I
what you
think
need.
made me so much stronger. And I was like, when this is finished, I'm gonna order a giant pizza, because it was going to finish the 31st of December. So like when the last bell rang, that was said me out of the cage. So I could imagine myself ordering thousands of pizzas and drinking all the, wines and all that. And ask me, I never ate like I used to before,
Mm,
and it's just changed me. But like I said, it was not the objective. I was not
yeah.
doing it because of that. It was just a mental challenge. So yeah, if you're asking me how to kind of work on that mindset kind of challenge, do something like I said, the little things, little battles every day. Like, oh, I'm tired and I have all the dishes to do. I'll do them tomorrow. no,
No.
there's an opportunity. I'm gonna wait, like stand
Yeah.
up right now and do them. Like those little
Yeah.
stupid things every day. Just start adding because you are going to be like starting to tell your brain like, oh, I am the boss, not
Uh,
you. So you do what I tell you to do because that is going to happen in the marathon. Your body
yes.
is going to be like, nope, let's just go home. You're not
Yeah.
good for this. You're gonna be like, no, you're gonna do this
I
because
did an interview with a lady yesterday, and she said when she's run a few marathons, and she says, "Every time I feel like that voice starts to say, 'Why are you out here? You know you shouldn't be out here. You're too slow.'" Or then you start seeing the trucks come, you know?
yeah,
So that's such wisdom that you say. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. The small things, make the bed up. You see the bed's not made up, go back and no, I got to make my bed up today. And this is
yeah.
helping you when you train for your races. I love that.
Absolutely. I think at the beginning, that's what I did a lot. I did the stairs a lot when I would come home from even a long run or
Yeah.
work day or whatever. And I was absolutely shattered. And I'm like, I'm going to take the lift or the elevator. And I was like, nope, nope, you're going to take the four flat stairs. It would take me probably half an hour because I will be crying half away. But you know what? Those little things. And then
Yeah.
later on, obviously, now I don't do them. Like I feel
Uh-huh.
like now I have, like I
Yeah.
said, I can turn around and I have
Yes.
20 ultra marathons where I can turn around and be like, I've done hard stuff. I
Yeah.
know I can do it. I know I can take it. But the beginning is hard to find
Mhm.
where what do I hold on to? Or say, oh, I did a 30-day challenge of not drinking.
Yeah.
Or and not because of the maybe yeah, like I said, it's going to have a byproduct of
Yeah.
like you feeling better.
Yeah.
But just do it for the mental side,
Yeah.
like start training your mind that you are going to be the one giving the orders there.
Yeah.
And you said no beer, it's no beer, and that's it. End of
I
the
love
story.
it. I love it. Okay, before we finish up, what is some wisdom you can give the newest runner? They got on here and they're looking, they got shoes fitted, and they're like, okay, I just need to get out here, but they don't know anything. What would you tell them?
I'll tell them the same thing that I would tell like an ultra runner, or I tell myself every time. Everything that you do, training or life, even, it cannot translate to everywhere in life. Do it with patience and love. So patience and love be your guide for everything. Patience to be out there and yourself, so don't be so harsh on yourself to be like, oh, you're not good at this. Look at the pace that you're doing, or be patient. You're trying something new, so you're not going to get it at the first time. So you need to be patient with yourself and to love, like just love yourself so much to talk to yourself in a good way and love yourself in the journey and whatever the outcome is as well. If it's embrace whatever the outcome, if you made it to your marathon successfully or you didn't, that doesn't define you. You still have to talk to yourself with patience and love and
Mm,
say, oh, you didn't make it this time, well, that was too bad. All right, on to the next one. So
yeah.
just remember that life or training or that doesn't finish at the marathon. Like you should, and that is just a tiny goal. That's just a tiny one, but you want to keep doing it, for the rest of your life. You want to be healthy, strong, and everything the rest of your life. So not only for the marathon. So if
Mm,
you want to stay consistent with your training, which that is going to be, that's as you should know, that's one of the key points of training. Stay consistent. You have to you obviously love it, and the way to love it is just be patient with yourself and how you're talking to yourself and see yourself and what you're doing.
that's beautiful. Because I think loving yourself can be, especially for ladies, can be a big, big thing. I don't know if we
Yeah,
know
absolutely,
how to
absolutely.
love
That
ourselves.
and
Yeah.
I think loving also yourself so much that don't let the noise kind of get you like
Yeah.
or start comparing as well,
Yes.
like, oh, I'm gonna not love myself as much because I'm fast runner, or
Yes.
you start feeling
Yes.
like less good about yourself
Yeah.
because X, or like, or you
Or if
start
you didn't
comparing.
finish and you feel, or you didn't accomplish something, even if it's not a race, if you were behind on your pace, or if you just didn't feel good. And you're like, oh, I'm just so stupid. Like, why? Like, it's not a big deal. Even though
Exactly.
in that moment we feel like a did not finish is such a huge deal, but you're like, no, it's just a
It's just
small.
a tiny thought. There's another marathon. I'm not saying that you're going to be now lazy about it. You're going to do all your work. You're going to put all
Yeah.
your effort. But if at the end of the story, the outcome is not, what you expected, you just talk to yourself with love and patience, because patience is going to be another race. There's going to be another chance to do it, and love even the tiny achievements that that you go through the journey as well. Like, applaud to yourself everything, every little, even the stupid things, because I have clients that sometimes they are like, oh, I did my first 5K, but it was so slow. I was like, who cares? Why do you have the but it was like, but it doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
was a 5K and
Mhm.
that's it. Like, so love yourself, like just apply those little, and she's like, oh, it's just a little achievement. And I was like, there is no little achievement. An achievement is an achievement. And that's it.
Yes.
There's no like big or small achievements.
No.
It's just an achievement. It's an achievement. So
Uh,
yeah, I think and more women, like you said, we need to
yes.
stop, playing down, playing us.
Yes.
Like, own it,
Yes.
stand tall, and just be proud of everything you do.
Uh, okay. Last thing. What is the craziest, most wildest thing that you've ever experienced in all of your races that you can think of and that you want to share?
I had a lot of like those toilet breaks stories, but probably those are not as fun. Um, it was in one of those attempts of my 100. That's when all the crazy stuff happened, because like, your head is already gone, and like you have like no shame about anything. You just like trying to survive the day. But I had a checkpoint, and I put a checkpoint. So you have check bags, so you can leave a bag for them to leave that in certain spaces or certain distances. And I put in there a pizza from like the last night before. So obviously a pizza has been there for like 40 hours at this point. So I remember I grabbed it. I wasn't hungry, so I just put it in my backpack and I just kept running. I just kept going. And then later on, like at I don't know, it was probably really early, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Again, it was like probably sick. I was close to DNFing at that point, but I was feeling so bad. So I sat down in this rock. I remember so right. And I took out my wee like backpack with my pizza. And I was sitting in this rock, smelling like, like how you smell after
Hours.
20 plus hours running, eating like a super cold, probably bad pizza, because at that point, like I said, it's been in the bag for freaking 40 hours or I don't know, in the middle of nowhere. And I was sitting there alone eating it, and I just started crying. I was like, this is so wild. What am I doing here? This is like so ridiculous. So
I
I
could be
was
home in the bed.
if someone was taking a photo or like a video, from far away and just looking at it's like, what is this woman doing at 3, 4 in the morning, sitting in a pizza, like in the middle of nowhere, because this is in Scotland, the Highlands, so it's nothing around, just eating with like my wee lamb, headlamp, and just like crying, boogers coming out, salt all over your face. I just thought it was obviously at that point I was feeling like really, really down. But when I like start thinking about it now, I was like, just imagine that picture. It's just
Mm.
comical. It's just comical of like imagining Tanya. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm from Mexico. I'm like the wildest thoughts start coming
You're
to
like,
you
"Wow,
as
I'm
well.
married to a Scottish man." Like, all of these crazy.
That maybe I didn't hallucinate, but they do start coming like these weird thoughts,
Yeah.
like I'm just a poor little Mexican woman in the middle of the wilderness, Scottish wilderness. What am I doing here? Oh, it's
Oh,
just the
wow.
thought of that moment. They were just so comical, and I just started crying and laughing. I was like,
Yeah,
"What is wrong with me?"
yeah,
It
that's
is
what I hear.
it's beautiful. It's an experience that I do invite anyone to.
I
try
love
it out. It's definitely fun. Yeah,
that. Well,
it's
thank
addictive
you.
though.
I definitely want to try some trails because I hear that they are it's just a different experience from the
Mhm.
pavement and peace, and you get to walk, and it's not about pace, so I definitely want to do that in the future, but thank you so much.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
so many great wise statements, and, where can people find you if they want coaching or if they wanna connect with you? Please do share.
Yes, of course. So I am in Instagram at Tania runs underscore the world.
That we're gonna be following and everything,
Yeah.
all of your, links we'll put into the show notes. Thank you. I hope to come that part of the world and run some races.
Yes, absolutely. More than welcome.